Started.
This is the speech drop code, but
Someone close that door.
is everyone good?
Can you move to the right, just for a second?
Sorry.
No, I just need to get the code. You can go back. Okay, I got it, by the way.
Is everyone good? Plan. The United States ought to substantially reduce its military presence in the Republic of Turkey. Advantage 1 is Russia. Turkish tactical news cause Russian facilitated first strike, cyclical reassurance, training exercises, and fighter jet deployments during crises induce rapid escalation sign. 16. During wartime, tension abuse, it is unlikely to use fight away in a solo guide to air traffic, so sponsored abuse of equipment to be contemplated each side will line. Intelligence flying a nuclear fighter during a crisis could consider Moscow to use equipment mounting a first strike. The US may be trying to reassure NATO ally. For example, the Turkish Air Force Russia has new cruise missile strike ability, can use a single launch missile from the Black Sea Mediterranean. Both regions welcome its American decision to forward apply dual capable aircraft with a turbulence precursor to first strike. Specifically, pick up and drop postures are worse for deterrence and trigger Russian preemption stein. 16. B6 going to base building after pick up and drop by nuclear posture Turkey counter first strike. Under the determination the most is supposed to support. The risk is high now. Ukraine and decaying Russian early warning infrastructure makes accidental escalation likely. Shipler 22. Putin outside nuclear Russian assist or danger vulnerable to areas of the risk. Outcome some mistake because more likely period of high intentional leaders have been a decision ambiguity case for a couple women and one age misrepresented events such as a training exercise that only US surveillance of the world to double check launch actually occurred. Russians built like adequate monitoring they have a terrible and dangerous structure for Russian South handicap and inability to look down. Russia war causes extinction caught merit. 17. Nuclear between the US and Russia aftermath could be much worse than before thus weapons make it impossible to go through the threat of extinction would be great. Exchange is only possible between the US and Russia. 90% of the world's weapons of racial nuclear war are unlikely to lead to extinction. Extinction is possible to get from conflict between those and Russia. The plan solves removal shifts weapons out of Turkey and into Europe that preserves deterrence and compensates Turkey with conventional weapons but prevents nuclear war stein. 16. To make nuclear weapons more stable weapons should be relocated. The Turkish would attempt to hold a space to spell line solidarity negative focus for conventional perhaps for releasing missile defense weapons. Remain in Europe changed to nuclear posture not to create attack capability consolidation. Europe would result in greater stability, replacing the op posture that could during intentionally to worst case assumptions. Independently, Russia spies on F-35s at Sterling that causes cyber attacks. Run for 19. Turkey has fired on the F-35 the attack that makes the aircraft illegal could be compromised. NATO systems would be integrated into the S-400 of its tactical data to be compromised by the way for malware. The S-400 would access the data broadcast data back to Russia with the high speed. Cyber attacks and F-35s go nuclear lane 21. Dependencies lead to cyber pills and nuclear deterrence and nuclear war. F-35 capable of munition dependent computers and software computers, central cast cell capabilities, sophisticated computer logistics, successful vulnerabilities, and nuclear system P delivery and application. You would not be able to release that authorization. A program may consult the more visible reason for routine classification critical vulnerabilities. Sensors, the control system and operator detecting vulnerabilities represent only a fraction. Advantage 2 is security. Turkey would steal nukes and give them to Hamas, even if they don't. They'd be reluctant to fully defend nukes from pro-Hamas protesters. Hit 1122. Everyone called Israel a terrorist state, and he described Hamas as resistance fighters for Hamas rhetoric address. The U.S. government said Turkey and each substantial B6 one that is solo 2 weeks ago for a personal rally tried to storm and Sterling airbase safety. Is an Islamist party Turkey's been reliable NATO all during the coup. Everyone could power to Sterling prohibited. Planes switching on to our nuclear should be names from 11 stable house Turkey that doesn't fit the speed on imagination to know nukes in Turkey is bad. Defense is overly optimistic. Erdogan will mobilize mobs, steal nukes, and overrun bases, removing Sterling balances relations and ensures nuclear security. Ruben in 20. Erdogan inside anti-American regularly gains assaulted sailors. The coup event Erdogan inside state to justify the British would not be interested in the base. Erdogan is not a British hostage to combat war between Turkey and Greece. Turkey suffered national center. Erdogan wanted to distract by the rest of Americans that so can seize personal American security while staying to fight for fear. Of course, the stand of personnel can be hostage. The U.S. can afford to wait to gradual development of dangerous troops to plan numbers. Plan the major that the remains vulnerable depending on fate, awfully overnight evacuation of songs to edge source contraction welcome. And anti-presence that is so plus for naval Washington to be better difficult time sense. 19. Americanism. Terror causes nuclear war and extinction. The rest. 19. New York spark full standard war. Terror such an NSA is responsible to move the government. Strikes terror responsible to reach its place. Combat escalate to nuclear power. The U.S. reacted to chain reaction. Agency nuclear conflict could do that. Involve every nuclear state would assume the entire species can pass last but complete calamity. The atmospheric impacts the ecosystem reduce ozone the coolant factor of the top planet. The hotspot. Turkish revisionism is an existential threat to the liberal order, carefully managing interlines dynamics between Erdogan and NATO prevents war from expansion spheres of influence to Ziar's 12-7. Two key takeaways: Erdogan tends to persist towards other terrorism, surge, nationalism occur. The next phase is on regional dynamics combined with an inflation committee. The challenge the road ahead is to make a clear distinction between tactical adjustments such as strategic goals. Erdogan's vision places challenge to Western roads, democracy, and peace. This vision posits civilizational weapons. This country, Turkey, and Turkey's challenge to liberal order, evidenced by Russia, and the very fundamental direction remains consistent. NATO and the EU continue to seek collaboration to provide desire to maintain control and discourage key regions, fears, balances, the stage for tensions, crises, and instability. The world is on a great transition to post-American order. The specific nature remains unclear. The plan checks Turkey's revisionism. Erdogan used military presence and subordination. The goal being Russia cost at 23 men. Erdogan also can hold deep push so far so far with sourcing after less place with it. Erdogan's based the challenge is best in Russia use that Western results humble. We should remind Turkey, no member is indispensable and so clear less support that recent media are part of the platform Turkish and anxious plan use operation pursue cooperation with that and so gluing this patch very closely with cooperation Philippines Iceland Prime Minister needs Turkey with that Russia based on its unambiguous US pressure is necessary. Turkey's revisionist and weaponizes US inaction and inducements to expand into West Asia leads us in 20. Equivalent approach may be convinced Erdogan the West and is not going to adopt harsh measures. US not clarified its stance towards Turkey. It sends strict messages from far that it's not going to tolerate behavior in the Mediterranean while Washington encourages Turkey to implement revisions in the Mediterranean while Turkey's US supports sends a curse to Moscow while Turkey's revision is encouraged car will continue possibly no consequence if Turkey's not acknowledged other Western elements will follow or will die your participation in the treaty as long as it was fully strong or valid possibilities. Through crisis go Turkey always had a revisionist agenda hesitancy. It does not help for Turkish culture behavior is considered weakness revisions will get bigger now. Now it's time for America to adopt decisiveness. That draws in France, Israel, and Egypt that escalates to Tlacos in 20. And Turkey's policy in the Middle East and Africa, Erdogan covers the Aegean, the Mediterranean, the Black Sea, Turkey's and also with allies. Erdogan using relation with NATO, so domestic expansion, new competition lead to the blockade, Terrorism. It's not Istanbul, Suez, NATO images tarnish the competition between Turkey, expands or Egypt, Israel no longer unthinkable. Israel drawn goes nuclear, farly in 20 or to the utility nuclear from land, the fear that states would develop in the military advantage of course Israel could consider using weapons of the balance out of its various scenarios involve hostile between Israel and more tall neighbors search for my shift in a negative direction nuclear weapons becoming part of the toolkit. Embedded ideological divergence to create issues and Turkish blackmail make the alliance unworkable now. Element 1.5 under Erdogan this relationship has no longer personality. Security coast after China and Russia decision purchases the S-400 battle and they global assumed as forces Turkey launch airstrikes and parties to bomb U.S. forces and nationalists forever held American citizens as hostages refuses nature Russia key destination for a list of those who support Russia's war. Erdogan turned back in the West Europe. Support from Moscow the opposite scanning passports uses based on bigger funds. It immediately causes escalating great power conflict in Syria and Greece. Tsars 21 Turkey Greece don't see eye to eye incursions are symptoms of a deeper conflict. The Mediterranean grassy for conflict of course not revisionist agenda buttressed by nationalism excluded revanchism in Europe, the Mideast and Asia discourse from with neo-Ottomanism Turkey's example is filled by fate all complete. Erdogan's agenda encompasses more than survival now revisionist and Barcelona interventions. The Syria separates Greece, Libya, Nagorno-Karabakh. It's a digital path. Framing the standard is maximizing expected well-being. Extinction outweighs billions of deaths. Burns 17 it's good for people to say sanitation will deprive people that puts people die, painful deaths, so even the loss of the only form of potential life. Humans passing fresh out of the Bible and subjects people that are physical pain, painful, premature deaths, and rewrite fears. Cut the card if there can be barriers.
Yeah, are you good?
Yeah.
Turkey doesn't have F-35s. How does Russia spy on them?
It's not Turkey's F-35s, it's our F-35s. The US is F-35s.
Okay, which part says the US has F-35 stationed in Turkey?
The Frankfurt card.
I'm pretty sure that says if the US had F-35s.
No, it says if Turkey acquired the S-400 along the F-35s. The F-35s exist, and Turkey recently acquired the
Okay, the
S-400.
shiplearn card says that Russia can also misinterpret, quote, a weather phenomenon or a malfunction. How does the plan solve that?
Yeah, our argument is that because we have nukes there, Russia could interpret literally anything, i.e. the mere movement of troops or the fighter jet deployments, etc.
Okay,
as an act
but
of
we've
war.
had nukes there for like quite some time now. How come Russia hasn't misinterpreted like anything?
Because we've read a card that says that Russia is uniquely vulnerable now due to Ukraine, because opposed to Ukraine, their systems, their surveillance, etc. is incredibly weak, which is why they're likely to misinterpret normal everyday things like, for example, moving a fighter jet across the region.
Why would they not misinterpret the US, I guess, flying in troops or bombers to carry the nukes back to the US?
I'm confused what you mean. Like, that's what's happening now.
That's what's happening now?
Yeah, the plan solves it by removing the nukes.
Okay, sure. Do you restation these, do you feel that the US restations these weapons in Europe?
Well, it's not a mandate of the plan, but it's the most likely result.
Okay, compensates Turkey with conventional weapons. I'm guessing this is also not a mandate of the plan.
No, it's not a mandate of the plan.
Okay, how do cyber attacks on F-35s go nuclear if they're not NC-3 systems?
Well, because they're dual capable aircraft, which means that they can literally hold nuclear weapons. So if you can cyber attack the system that is both delivering those nuclear weapons and the waveforms that kind of move the flights, you could basically control wherever those nuclear weapons go. So if Russia had the ability to control where nuclear weapons go.
Why does Turkey sell nukes to terrorists?
Well, they sell nukes to Hamas because they think Israel is a terrorist state and Hamas are resistance fighters. They also can do it for money by selling it on the black market.
Right, but okay. how does Turkey get the news?
There's multiple ways. The Reuben evidence is very specific. Erdogan could mobilize a coup, which would, one, cut off electricity to the base, which prevents communication within and outside of the base. Second, most of the soldiers guarding the base are Turkish soldiers, so Erdogan could at any time just tell them to revolt against the U.S. Third, Erdogan has empirically done things like assault sailors, take gangs of American hostages, etc.,
Okay,
which means that Erdogan could use that as
the part
leverage.
about drawing in France, Israel, and Egypt, why do they get drawn into like Turkish confrontation?
Well, because the Turkish confrontations are in their back door. It creates border conflicts if Turkey expands further into West Asia, near France,
Okay.
Israel, etc.
Like
It
same
also
question,
extends
we've
into
had the
Central
news
Asia.
there for decades, why haven't they expanded?
They are expanding, like right now.
I'm sending it out. It's 6, and then the Russia advantage, and then there's security.
Six off, you said? And then advantage 1, advantage 2.
Yeah.
You want to switch to the present? Agree.
So what's the order of advantages?
Advantage 1, Russia, then advantage 2, security. Okay, is everyone good? Substantial must occur across the board, Poland 13 substantially must occur across the board line. 1 or reduce means to eliminate use confined reduce limitations and means for outwards to say their counties and region exclude subjects to the entire space area of from Muslim ground absolute dependent obscure slope to be serious multi percent all condensable don't link to anything and they expand the topic exponentially to substantially reduce anything the military does rough bitter necessary for deterrence and norms and use. Companies or visibility is arbitrary links and limits no RBI is versus 1 to 0 and theory present substance and it's logical next on military presence versus basis and love time over person loved by our cities military presence versus basis also and also is neither in the category of presence. Nuclear power production is explicitly excluded thumbs in battle types of the military presence include nuclear boat neg 1 limits rally 13 military bases are troops other forms of US presence here include war bases UVs also countries have some sort of presence when military attaches into the entire world. 2 ground maritime for military presence was important terrorist facing quite close relations to countries US and military would take place in interest US what an interest at stakes. Next off, the United States should end launch and wanting purchase so much hotline with the purpose of avoiding accidental misconduct war with China, Russia, Turkey, North Korea, France, Israel can communicate to the Russian before flying in bombers ready to operate increase American troops starting monitoring nuclear weapons and instantly erase the security measures and weapon security storage systems including more offensive detection systems for clear zone to real cooperation and all weapon counterterrorism efforts among with allies with the emphasis on positive conditionalities and US F-16 certified to deliver nuclear weapons to instantly integrate the CIA, NSA, and Federal Bureau of Investigation US military and cyber command networks leverage diplomacy sanctions and executive agency enforcement in cooperation with foreign military partners against cyber threats and initiate US strategies after attacks have occurred, limiting retaliatory potential use sanctions and inducements of hostile Turkish peace and cooperation condition for the military aid and persons in Turkey on Turkey's peace and compliance with US demands. Point 1 solves first strike right that also US weapons and high low peace accidental launching strikes nuclear exchange on return to high low and crisis maintain robust deterrent. Point 2 solves crisis stability story 18 helmets and military switches misconduct relationship with the United leaders super harassment communicated for Holland crisis is for clarifying dialogue is control. Point 3 solves terror pillow and larger 19 strong weak link critical miss follows with the memorial on isolated issues with interrelating warhead long pause lost now revealed without distance of the tribal suite code 12 digital logic disables warhead market warhead next of the United States should propose to the North Atlantic Council of the United States to reduce military presence in the Republic of Turkey. United States should abstain from the vote. Turkey says yes, but like a prior binding consultation destroys the alliance open to Turkey. AK would support withdrawal of TNWs if it was consulted beforehand and NATO was operating consistent removal. Part the alliance counterpoint competes 1 it brand 10 possessive it specifically means carry particular don't agree with not others and commitment must each individual separate and distinct 2 odd very much today has odd same as should 3 should summers 94 should means to must for law immediate next step norms of constitution are strong not prior approval of nuclear policy underpins allied confidence and NATO decision-making line 18 willingness to be able to keep allies important nuclear issues underpin consultation process assume decision making consultation and the NAC places central role structures of NATO basis for consultation is NATO's lifeline consultation over nuclear fights factor to the formal decision-making process. The process of unilateral revision to nuclear policy is destabilizing even if allies tolerate the content. Only a carefully calibrated approach that includes dedicated consultation can prevent NATO collapse and allied integrity in most 18 severe participants at all and unilateral withdrawals and interference and test by allies that avoid Prolif and Previous to support this actions provide defense and specific actions to major redeployments and American distributed recovery to pursue most important planners. Think about this after now, but make little tactical sense between DC Western symbols, matter allies, faith and commitment forward deployed team notes at the essence of NATO and mutual defense with her and technical issues to nuclear terrorist issue and supporters of the alliance decision that commitments cannot be unilateral required consultation by when promise to console eyes all needed dialogue and extension is used possibly pushing for not automatically and forward playing news green light revision scoping and probing and global hotspots execution which is something to be departed in eyes opportunity for revisionist slashes present promise of assessing and adding uncertain parts have person location yes American decaying reach and probing Middle East not combined with hesitation effects states not involved there is a wide Aussie Russia's Eastern Europe Ukraine has included in the S and ECS market ECS next up imperial populations or save one including carbon and relation with Turkey save one improved one helps on issues stabilize relation with Washington Finland system for Ukraine deal compromise several issues of interest and complementary vaccine referees Armenia the Middle East Africa Sweden's decision to access in relation to other warring relationship those according to living model for removal is perceived globally as American for unreliability which stops and pillaging existing only student history in the lines match with ally crews from Turkey station on channel and solidarity perception US honor to quite dangerously road security must have non-pro policy security several countries already events of everybody to build these structures on these structures of use were which all opens for US signal using all over the countries like to develop weapons of their own TWs are in Turkey are insulated from political disagreements but removing them lasting prolific situation roughly glowing years these find to NATO the US competition on ice speed arms with leader of WP threatening the globe and absent the purple extended towards Turkey the LPS has not spent for middle capacity illustration which US and ability was directly the core relationship away from various disagreements we can limit the US position develop news to others develop mass trap effect market mass trap effects now the Russian advantage all their impacts are pretty good because we've had a nuke station there for decades Stripler concedes weapons and malfunctions are all causes in globe accidents wars wrong confirmation through that something in a purpose more no war according to this minute notice the performance that add leaders choice in the wars accidentally seen warning about incomplete info that info affect the likelihood of leadership war but not affect war from chance incomplete info is a kind of both logic and country accidents war market war and even minor reductions often Israeli preemptive strike extinction we call something versus for the Israel history Israel uniquely Israel being alone any situation you suspecting would say Israel behavior versus Israel needs conservation and supporting best way to percentage of the unrestrained Israel being introduced to extraordinary damage that Israel nuclear desperation cannot be dismissed reason to maintain relations unchanged and expert opinion proves their impact starts at 0.3% of US 19 how powerful in the war might be looking at so view of expert relations if we have a chance of nuclear war from US and Russia or 0.3% Russia is so vulnerable because the general first circuit makes no sense to guarantee nuclear war but you think they go first against a stronger opponent and other checks solve like non-conventional strikes Stein is wrong nuclear critical which is about the sure term gives commitment under the US nuclear but other commitments won't be credible Robert not be the promises will ambitious with potential partners market partners stations stations in F-35 and other countries that Turkey doesn't have F-35 that 19 US were taken from F-35 fighter programs Turkey lose by jet by March 2020 their evidence is hypothetical and sort of below F-35 our cybersecurity willing military defense will great F-35 and cyber attacks multi-phase process enhanced security through attack automated flight transfer copy using over design to cyber resiliency hardware software rubber seamlessly updated now the security advantage COSNET is about problems with this Finland accession which Turkey agreed to no nuclear but with 17 nuke nothing people is modern and terrorist fear that knowledge and technical was implemented in all present enormous material and that comes world experts and equal surrounding terror given the Westlake is failure series proceeds to sometimes to contract steel or purchasing much less struggle and deadly Pacific tradition not burned out by events extensive safeguards exist against nuclear which is on the counterpoint only impact to only total revisionism is Israel only US patrol makes that likely because they will last out which is about the cancel of Egypt or Saudi which is in sort of no impact to France Israel and Egypt what reason they get involved which is and for at least about Israel strike if the convention violates just under the power no reason why that's uniquely true now that things Edelman cites about Turkey not complying in some instances of S-400 which is nowhere near giving news to terrorists no Israeli first strike by ND-15 preemption makes sense of the nuclear first strike Israel and decision makers of national options that needs to be held is the benefits and how many percent attacks new states against nearly nuclear states Syria Iran large amounts of process missiles market missiles and Turkey would never mobilize bombs only because of US military personality the US is about to remove the news means they have nothing left to lose so they cause their scenario so reasonable customer opportunity will reduce an action their service and armed conflicts only people who say that the property increase speaking class attorney chain with controlled escalation no great power war in Syria's wall and we were told that the buffalo is over for enemies really serious hardly major strategic pricing the Russia running wants to go to Russia more so wants Moscow to maintain a big presence there influence likely to decline market decline and they're not revision special 22 on cars policy another traditional imperialist no obviously one is spreading authority to purchase out in West Turkey and below it if no lone wolf it appears to be
good for cross.
yeah that should Bismarck it not the lone wolf it appears to be
Okay. Status of the counter plans.
Conditional.
Can you kick planks?
yes
So you can it's like 12, 13 content.
like you a
Okay.
draft
The
you not
first part of the NATO counter plan says that Turkey would say yes. You read a DA that says Turkey wants the nukes because there were security
Yeah,
guarantees.
so
Why would they
yes.
ever say yes?
the card is actually explicit and says that if they are consulted beforehand and if the alliance is already in
I get that the card says
consensus-
that. I don't know why that's true at all, given that you read a whole DA as to why they want the nukes.
right then it says that if they are not consulted beforehand then it will hurt the alliance in Prolif.
I'm confused as to what the distinction between consulting them and not consulting them is in terms of the security guarantee, because we're still removing
do I need to read the card again? It says that
The
if
card is
they are
5 words
consulted-
and just says if they're consulted. That's not a warrant, and you're not explaining anything.
I I think I just did explain. It says if they're consulted and if NATO is operating in consensus, they are more likely to say yes.
Okay, NATO is operating in consensus. Almost every single NATO country dislikes what Turkey is doing in the Eastern Mediterranean. Why doesn't that thump?
What isn't that dumb?
Yeah,
I
you
think
said,
that in
where have you
fact-
read uniqueness that NATO is strong now?
The just side below that, it says that, well, first is the Becker and Stutt evidence, it's also a link card, it says the US is publicly committed to consult allies regarding nuclear issues. Second is that the 1&C evidence says that nuclear policy,
Yeah, you
It's
read
making
cards that
consultation.
nuclear deterrence might be strong, but your DA is about NATO.
it's not
more
about
broadly.
nuclear deterrence. The Becker and Stutt evidence says the US is publicly committed to consult allies regarding nuclear issues.
I'm reading the card. It says, quote, issues of nuclear deterrence.
Yes, the plan is an issue of nuclear
Okay,
deterrence.
so it is about nuclear deterrence. But I
The
guess
link is about nukes, yes, because the plan removes nukes.
that doesn't answer the question. Where have you read uniqueness evidence? Because your impact is just alliance decline bad. Where have you read uniqueness evidence that says that the
Right,
alliance is
quote,
strong
willingness
now?
of the US to keep allies informed about nuclear issues underpin the consultation process and, quote, widely assume that
Again.
such a decision would be made in consultation
Yeah,
with all
okay, it
allies.
says that we're consulting our allies. That doesn't mean that the alliance itself is strong. It doesn't mean we're working together on anything.
Well, so we have said that consultation is the basis of the
Okay,
alliance, so that doesn't mean the
Sure.
alliance is strong.
The conditioning aid on Turkey's compliance with U.S. demands, like how do we determine if they do that? Or like what does that even look like?
What does it look like?
Yes.
Well, the US sees if they're expanding militarily in regions 1AC sites like Westlake.
So like we withdraw all military aid, we withdraw a bit, depending on what they do, like how does that process work?
Well, so first, we think they care so much about military presence that they would do anything to preserve it, which is below. Second is that
Okay,
Yes, it would result in
the
reductions to
Prolif
military
DA, if Turkey can't deploy the nukes themselves, why is it assure Turkey?
what do you mean they can't okay, first
They can't
the
deploy the
counterpan
nukes.
plane, the US sends bombers or like F-16s or
Yeah,
whatever
but
it is
not that we
are
give them to
cool.
Turkey. Turkey still doesn't have authority over our nukes that we state.
Okay, first is that it's not like Turkey literally thinks those weapons belong to them, although that is also an argument. It is also about they believe that when nukes are stationed there, the US is
Okay,
committed to
I'll
defend
start.
them.
The Russia advantage is the like no accidental war card that you cut, or like, is it just cut at like where the break is?
The line that's like logic and evidence contradicts.
Yeah, right.
StarCraft 958. I'll send it. The order is first advantage, which is Russia, terror advantage, T substantial, T military presence, the advantage counter plan that has a lot of planks, the consult NATO counter plan, the NATO DA, and the Turkey Prolif DA. Is everyone good? Okay.
Russia miscalculates because they perceive the presence of USB CC1s as destabilizing and attempt to maintain the possibility of first striking them. The first argument about how it's empirically denied is wrong. They dropped their Russian systems are uniquely vulnerable now because post-Ukraine their systems cannot track, surveil, and track and surveil properly. The next argument about how accidental war is wrong assumes that it does not assume these CC1s they're uniquely destabilizing because they're kept in proximity to Moscow, which our evidence is so specific on which is that the mere presence of them is destabilizing because routine fighter jet deployments in the region could be perceived as a pick up a drop posture, which is also a dropped argument. The Israeli strikes argument, not about Turkey, no evidence of the plan affects Israel. This is not a complete argument. Group the next three arguments about how miscalc is false. None of it is about the plan they've read. None of it is about the plan. It does not assume B61s or the fact that the reason that B61s there are to attack Russia, which was explained above. The argument about how they don't first strike assumes that Russia is rational, not that Russia miscalculates, so that Russia misperceives the daily U.S. actions. The argument about stationing elsewhere does not matter because they're not proximate to Russia, and those B61s are there for other purposes. That was basically it on this advantage. The terror advantage. The first, Erdogan steals nukes. They can stage a coup, cut off electricity, the base, etc. All of that causes draw. They drop that terror cause extinction. The first argument about how it's hypothetical. It is not hypothetical. Erdogan has staged small coups in the past and has not prevented purges, etc., which are bad. The cybersecurity stuff concede all the defense of that. For the no terror argument was an analytic argument. They dropped every single carded piece of what is the offense that says that terrorism is likely, that Turkey has connections with Hamas and use Israel as a terrorist state. The Farley evidence not going for that scenario, but we will extend the Turkey revisionism argument. Turkey is a revisionist power because it's proven their expansion into Greece, Syria, etc., in Eastern Mediterranean, which is all their arguments are repeatedly denied, and they draw NATO into conflicts with straight turns the NATO DAT substantial counter asking benefits of reduction. Substantial means Arcus 2, substantial needs to roll to a large degree. Reduce means global dictionary data makes smaller. It means inside variable center data is located somewhere. The precision is a form, not a single pair matter more, and effective availability over limiting anything else is arbitrary. Makes only two halves to use the opposite number assurances, etc. Makes B negative. P also causes infinite pixels seals the app. T presence we meet plan in vacuum counter military presence and military assets. Thompson and all two definition military presence because it's military asset irrigation, not combat activities in combat, not engaged presence activities. US is for military security, which is capable of use military assets. There's Thompson evidence is about domestic news and diplomacy, not the plan over limiting their troops all advantages to conventional centers, which are the large swath of American military forces abroad that eliminates the most elevated debates on topics no ground offense. All DAs are perception-based feasibility with broad line in the literature. The advantage campaign conditionalities voting for class 4 cells are to argue multiple ways. What splits the 1 year causes time skew. Dismissals to offense, loss, night flex, permanent both permanent conflict, framing issue. Every single plate they've read links to benefit. It places conditions on nuclear deterrence, makes Turkey no longer a good ally, makes the B61s unusable, and would free Turkey out and NATO out. And if you launch on warning planks, fail or sneers, not US first strike, it's Russia miscalc. It's also non-binding because the campaign does not be a Russian, and if you sees that there's no incentive for the US to buy hog lines, fail. A Russia does not trust the US, they're revisionists, and if we keep base 61, they grow line. B, Hollines are bad. Either 21 Holland remains no advantage that she for peace, during crisis, useless, not preventing coronavirus, attacking, non-availability, cut the credit, non-availability, the counter-terror planks fail. A, Erdogan can stage a coup and support terrorist attempts to take over the base. The soldiers and people in charge of the base are literally all Turkish. Recently, Erdogan could anytime tell them to revolt. B, Turkey could close up electricity, which kills cons and defense mechanisms. Sending F-16s is our scenario. That causes miscall. Counter-terror fails because they didn't read the card of the groups can buy nukes. Sanctions fail, cause backlash, which creates revisionism. Already happens to the scope. Links to the DA conditions plank fails because Turkey doesn't do it. Consult NATO perm. Do both. They didn't establish competition off immediacy, so you can consult NATO and then do the plan without the perm being intrinsic. Also, benefit Turkey says no. If the US went to them and even proposed the concept of withdrawing nukes, Erdogan would instantly mobilize mobs and terrorists to take over our forces and sell them off because the entire thesis of the DA and the case is that Erdogan wants the nukes to sell them for money involving NATO cause it to feel like Emblems 16 NATO projects should not be used to rebrand the preservation of NATO concept of cost of reviews. These NATO level reviews off the great government for nations. NATO not have reported will be given implemented NATO visibly cardinally to same rates. The nuclear alliance, the NATO DA, the app is a straight turn. The NATO DA, the app is is a straight turn, says that Turkish expansionism is bad and drawing the U.S. into conflict, which was the one EC tip Salakos evidence. NATO likes the plan. Al Jazeera in 20 comes and only hard says that Turkey might use states when creating mobile Libya, Russia, Mohammed, later over Turkey, the decisions to send ships to Cyprus, get the card, Cyprus, the alliance data, dropped one Admin, which was their union evidence by the alliance is already collapsed due to S400 purchase, etc. No alliance collapse from it. The team will play on the alliance suggests that overstay the use of ground forces, British, South Korea, and others. None of these domestic alliances, Turkey try to coincide independently serve presence. When little dimensional to Spain, Turkey, the US pulls out weapons, rounds, bullet, Lewis 16 weapons, center, public number, regards to missile liability, which weapons are enforced if the bombs will symbolize its own ability. But the card is our inability.
Sorry, let me mark it in the top. Is in our inability. Okay. 4 minutes starting. Any reason to reject the team's comment?
Yeah.
Is Logan the card that you said like NATO adaptation causes extinction, or was that a different one?
That was Andreessen and Williams.
Is that in the doc?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. setting the cards out. of sending it out. The order is the Prolif Dissad, the NATO cohesion Dissad, the advantage counter plan, and then the Russia advantage, and then the terrorism. Oh shoot, hold on, I'm missing cards. Okay, I just uploaded them. Does anyone need the folder?
Yeah, could you just give it to me one more time?
Yeah, Turkey Prolif is that the NATO cohesion just and then the advantage counter plan, the Russia advantage, and then the
Terror advantage.
terrorism advantage, sorry.
Copy.
Okay, just let me get my flow. Okay. Alright, is everyone clear?
Yeah.
Proliferation outweighs Turkish nuclear acquisition, looks and arms sourcing regional instability, deterrence collapse, and global proliferation. Garfinkel turns the case that exponentially increases the risk of escalation and means that the more weapons that nuclear, the more countries in the Middle East that have nuclear weapons, the more Russia's threat perceptions increase, which means deterrence. It also increases terrorism because of terrorism film absent. Now, U.S. and Turkish relations are improving. Both sides have common interests, and Turkey has quote put aside agreements in favor of stabilizing relations. It's empirically proven by F-16 transfers Finland and Sweden's accession, and the Ukraine compromise Turkey's integration into F-35 program and quote closer cooperation over Africa, Russia, Greece, the Black Sea, and the Middle East. It's Carafano. Now, the arguments about how the S-400 program are completely irrelevant. They show that Turkey has been reintegrated into the F-35 program, which solves the only war, the one I give the tours, does not get anything else, and the state of the alliance itself is irrelevant because military presence is the critical internal link to Turkish non-proliferation, and they've dropped that warrant and the one T evidence that both sides quote bracket the core security relationship away from various secret disagreements, which means that only military cooperation matters. The most recent evidence proves cooperation is silent 0.16 whether or not Blinken emphasized the need to prevent conflict with these hostages and tendencies and reduce penalties towards peace, focusing extensively enrolled Turkey play official statements for relations are improving hostility. Other problems Turkey organization Turkish U.S. will team from each state or one say I agree with that and seeking cooperation strategy when has been liable by the bilateral treatment and reach. We're going to have we will further enhance cooperation combinations. Political disagreements are relevant as long as there is unity over military matters. Evidence is old does not assume Ukraine or the new strategic mechanism. Government could 22% for improving tax cooperation relations are one by during the strategic mechanism. Topics mutual intercessions, economic defense cooperation, global defense allies. Several differences focus on cooperation, putting on Ukraine. Now the plan locks in Prolif and it does collapse the alliance. One perception: the American TWs and Turkey cover the Gulf and the law and radiate generally the reputational clout, transcending specific countries as Garfinkel. Independently, we don't need to win that Turkey Prolifs, but they've dropped that every other ally does because it is perceived as U.S. not being committed to the region. Two unreliability, removing TWs and straight. So U.S. has no capability or commitment to defend allies and cannot be relied on as a security partner. Three, alliance commitments American nuclear weapons and Interlink are the cornerstone of alliance solidarity and extended deterrence. Withdrawing them removes quote the single most powerful motivating force behind Turkish non-Philippine and allied confidence in U.S. security guarantees. Since Garfinkel, no collapse is strong for it. There's absolutely nothing political and economic tools does not assume a world in which security guarantees have collapsed, which means that Turkey will proliferate. Other examples like Britain are wrong because they have made the revisionism claim for us. This says that Turkey will escalate, which is not the case, which means that it is unique and all of our evidence is specific to Turkey. Their evidence also concedes that the plan increases the risk of terror. It says, quote, there is a security challenge with withdrawing the weapons in the short term, removing them from the storage vaults during a period of intense hostility could invite an act of sabotage, which means they cause all their heads are not symbolic, and not symbolic evidence is terrible. It was much too early for a warrant, and this is literally one line long. There's not a single line that says Turkey does not want nuclear weapons. You should read their evidence. All the links above this military utility does not matter. Only perception aside. 14 discussion that TWs is political and conceptual to the military Turkey. First, TWs says security guarantees status with the NATO Turkey. Quote, these are weapons. Official statements prove Erdogan would react by developing nuclear weapons, which independently proves the US will collapse with 1991 war the use against removing this interlocking on his own. If removed, the lost weapons are taking Turkish oil as far as Erdogan is concerned. Their Turkish. Now the NATO cohesion just said there is zero risk of a Turkish expansion. Bad is not a warrant for why NATO cohesion will be bad, and they've quite popular as well because they dropped the empirics for the process of unilateral revision without dedicated composition is what is required for altering NATO's nuclear policy, which sparks allied uncertainty and abandonment fears, which is especially true in the context of military deployments, which means it's irrelevant of the political popularity of the plan because it will perceive the U.S. as not consulting them and not listening to the allied opinions, which also means it magnifies the arguments above. Actually, the NAC kind of want the nukes to be removed and means bolsters the link to the design on the advantage counter-term status quo should be logical option 1. Next, military presence is objectively good, link uniqueness to status, structural advantages with impact uniqueness to arbitrariness. The only argument implement is the rest makes me Harker the opposite of presumption no negative because the rules of neg is to make being out part 3 quality-based testing from multiple angles, maximize testing, and refine affordance better operating and neg research. 4th, avocado is one pivot based on strategy, which requires multiple option F. Stand back, no offensive finishing. Market utility, the 1 hour was 10 seconds long, does not justify 3 minutes to excuse and little procedural C. 1 distance time to concede. Reasonably from T, just but it's installed and define that's after choosing to turn reasonable counterpoints impossible or world peace forces. Perhaps now the Russia advantage proper. There is zero risk of miscalculation. The Quackenbush evidence cites statistics and theoretical model systems to quote both logic and evidence contradiction. Not a single war has occurred because of interburden escalation. Leaders are rational. Do not automatically launch nuclear weapons after mistaken warning or incomplete information that's Quackenbush preferred. Their authors are biased to believe the military can cause war. Their scenarios are really not even if tensions are increasing now or Russia's warning systems are bad now. They've obviously been like that for decades and they've dropped the recutting of the evidence system. Weather malfunction or our satellite, etc. can also cause the attack, which means that they have no capacity to solve it either. And they've also dropped the Rodriguez evidence. This is the consensus of predictions, expert opinion, and historical precedent conclude the risk of U.S. Russian nuclear war is quote below 0.3%. They've not extended terminal attacks to this, so the turret does not get to blow it up. The first right scenario is wrong. Even if Russia isn't rational, they will not go to war with the U.S. Concede they will go to the war with the U.S. or strike back, but they dropped that they do not need to use nukes because leaders can still retaliate with conventional force or launch non-nuclear attacks in the space or cyber realm. And they say Quackenbush does not assume B-61s have close to Russia. It says that in no case, and analyzing all historical events, not a single war has occurred because of miscalculation or incomplete information, which directly answers their about how their early warning systems are bad now. They say miscalc is not about the plan, it is about the theory in general, and since the accidents will never occur, which means the only scenario is deliberate conflict. They say first strike assumes Russia rational was answered above. Now the Erdogan, now the terrorism advantage Erdogan will not steal the nuclear weapons, but they dropped it. It's only because of military presence. He wants to expand ties with the U.S. They've also dropped both of our cards. It says Turkey is aiming to be a mediator, and they want to increase regional stability. And obviously, giving nukes to terrorists is against their opinions. You should read the want to see evidence. Not a single card says that terrorists will actually acquire nukes. Cutting off electricity is irrelevant because cutting off electricity is irrelevant. Even if Turkey can get the nukes, they will not because they're afraid of using U.S. military presence. And all of the links on the dissent prove that they want to increase cooperation with the U.S. Terrorism class distinction was not dropped. The Fedway's evidence says that not a single incident of theft or attempted theft has ever occurred. That it takes way too long to open a nuclear weapon, and obviously it is turned by the dissent because Erdogan's leading coups in the past is not a reason. Obviously that proves our uniqueness because none of those attacks have escalated. Terrorism has never happened, and our evidence was not analytic.
I'll start. It's the Russia advantage, the terror advantage, the PA. Okay, is everyone good?
Russia miscalc is likely. None of the defense that they extended actually assumes the opposite error. Argument is that keeping B-61s in Turkey is destabilizing because the mere presence of those is to attack Russia. They've dropped that pick up and drop posture means that the U.S. anytime we fly a fighter jet in the region, Russia misperceives that as an act of attempting to pick up the nuclear weapons to drop them on Moscow, which is uniquely destabilizing. All of the defense is generic. None of it mentions B-61s. None of it mentions Turkish nukes. We have specific reasons why Russian systems are vulnerable now after Ukraine, which none of their evidence mentions, because Russia cannot accurately surveil our F-35s or any of our fighter jets, which means that any daily movements of troops fighter jets, etc. in the region are perceived as an attempt to pick up the bombs, which is uniquely destabilizing and likely to cause Russia first. The first argument about being empirically denied is obviously irrelevant. Their scenario is obviously irrelevant because we have reasons why now specifically is key, which is all of the arguments about Russia vulnerable now. Also, just because it hasn't happened in the past does not mean that it won't happen in the future. That's obviously a fallacy. The argument about how they've been there for decades, caused by the arguments above, about how Russia is uniquely vulnerable now. Also, Turkish instability because they dropped that Turkey is expanding loose nukes, etc. All of it makes it likely that now is uniquely destabilizing because Russia misperceived it. The Rodriguez evidence about how U.S.-Russia war is unlikely assumes Russia is rational, which is also a drop point in your argument because even if Russia is rational and does not want to go to war with U.S., they will if they think that the U.S. is about to first strike them, which is a dropped argument. The next argument about first striking wrong is just an assertion. This 0.38% argument is obviously ridiculous. This card is one line. Again, it's not about B-61, so this is just not offense for them. They've dropped that Russian first strikes causes drawing outweighs and turns the DA. A is scope. Their scenarios are regionally limited to Turkish Prolif and the Middle East. None of those countries currently have nukes, which means that none of those countries currently have nukes, and the U.S. and Russia have the biggest arsenals in the world, which means that it massively outweighs their scenarios. Magnitude of B is time frame. The time frame for Prolif was never extended in the 2NR. It takes decades at least to develop the nuclear weapons, and then they have to be deployed, which means that the scenario for the app happens much quicker, which means that if we win the Miscalc scenario, which is likely to happen now, it massively outweighs the terror scenario. Concede defense not going for the Turkey disadvantage. You should evaluate it on the link level, not the impact level. They require winning the B-61. They're perceived as an effective deterrent and cornerstone of the alliance. They've dropped that even if they win every single argument that they made about how military and security commitments to Turkey are specifically key, they've dropped that B-61s are not any of those things because B-61s cannot be deployed by Turkey, so they're not a deterrent for Turkey, and that the only reason that they're there is so that the U.S. can attack Russia, not so that the U.S. can come to the defense of Turkey. Independently. If we win that the alliance is collapsing now, then none of their offense is relevant because their internal link is about trusting security guarantees. So if we win that NATO is currently collapsing and the U.S.-Turkey alliance is collapsing, then that means that Turkey perceives that the U.S. security guarantee will go away inevitably in the future. They've dropped that Turkey is fundamentally revisionist, which was dropped on the case page, proven by its expansion into Syria, Greece, West Asia, etc. All of that drags in NATO. They've also dropped the arguments from the NATO DA and the Edelman card from the 1EC, which says the purchase of the S-400, etc. Makes it inevitable. Line by line, all the arguments they made. The F-16 argument is empirically denied because Turkey is literally not in our F-35's program. That's just false. The Ukraine argument, Turkey literally supported Russia in the Ukraine war, which means that the alliance is low now, which means that the perception of a U.S. deterrent is false. If we win that the alliance is collapsing, then that means that the security guarantee will inevitably go wrong. They write a bunch of cards about how merely the perception of alliance collapse is sufficient to trigger the link, which means that it should have been dumped in the past by every single example. The Miscalc advantage massively outweighs the DA just because theirs are region limited to Middle Eastern countries that don't even currently have nukes. The drawn scenario is made up and not in any of their evidence. There's no reason why Prolif and Turkey causes Russia to strike.
just vote this off one more card.
So, care.
Elmer might get mad at me, but okay.
Okay, I can turn it off.